to see that we are here and we are ready to get started. And so this will be like the last time you see us, but at least you know you had this opportunity to know that we're live and we're real. So thank you very much. Cheers.
Thanks, everybody.
So moving forward, this will probably be one of the quickest webinars that we will have this year and clearly last year. We're bringing you together because we want to give you the Cityspan updates. We want to make sure that all of you that are listening, and this is going to be recorded, have opportunity to know what we're doing, how we're moving forward with Cityspan, some of the updates, and why. So welcome to the Enrichment Portfolio with Youth Services. So today we're going to cover data collection, Cityspan support, attendance opening, attendance form, outcomes, and performance rating. So as you know, as part of your contractual obligation, you are to input your data in Cityspan on a regular basis. Why? Because we have close to 200 delegate agencies, and the best way for us to monitor is through our data collection system, and as you know, it is Cityspan. Karen nor Caesar can come out and visit all of your programs, and so we have this in place as part of our monitoring. If it's not in Cityspan, it does not exist. If you have sign-in sheets, you know, at your agency, and that data has not been put in Cityspan, it does not exist. And so when Caesar and Karen move forward on the performance rating, they're going to look at that data as they monitor, and they will rate your program accordingly. In addition to that, what we really need to make sure is that you put in clean data. And I think that's, you know, one of the things that Chris, who is helping us collect our data, compile our data, and evaluate it, you know, in terms of our enrollment, our attendance, and so that we know how well we're doing, how many we're actually serving, through what quarter, what period. So it becomes really important for you to put in clean data. Clean data is making sure you put it in a timely manner and as mistake-free as possible. And then that being said, we all know that our data is only as good as those that's actually inputting it. And so if you yourself on site, you're having problems with being the only keeper, please, you know, look at who else on your staff can support you in putting in your information on a regular basis. So Cityspan support. We got to this point because Chris had noticed that there were a lot of people chiming in on certain questions. So they called Cityspan Help Desk. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, definitely. So again, my name is Christian Nuna. I'm from the Poverty Lab from the University of Chicago Urban Labs. And I've been working with Arlene and Marianne to try to figure out how we can best provide a kind of overview of the clients you all helped to serve over the past 3 years. And part of that process was me looking at your data collection tool, Cityspan. And one of the tools available to you all is the issue tracker. And so what I noticed on there was that there would be variations of the same question, i.e., hey, I'm trying to upload data, but I'm trying to upload data from last month, but I'm 2 months behind. How do I do it? Or another question like, I incorrectly added somebody's name wrong. How do I go back and change it? And so what Arlene and I are going to be working on is working on Cityspan to create tags, kind of like how you would on Instagram or hashtag if you're looking for a specific theme or topic, you know, hashtag Cleveland, hashtag Chicago. This time would be hashtag uploading data, FAQs. So that way, if you're new to Cityspan or you're onboarding new hires or training new people to do the data collection, they kind of have a home base of frequently asked questions that you all have already asked in the past. Is that pretty much?
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. And so, in addition to that, one of the things I just heard Chris say was data that's like 2 months old. And we'll get to that when we start talking about attendance. But I know we have staff turnover, and so you all, a lot of times you're in a situation where you've had staff turnover and you don't know how to move forward, and so Cityspan information just fits. And then we don't know anything about it because you don't communicate that with us. And so this piece will help you with whoever is there or not there. If you're the one there, you can go back. Cityspan is going to actually do a monthly like rotation. So you'll have all of the questions that has ever been asked. You can go back, like Chris was saying, and you can pull this information so that you can still be up to speed with what it is that you need to do without, you having data that's like 2 months behind. And so it's really great. It's almost like a great data succession plan for you when staff are no longer in place. So then we get to attendance opening. So we put attendance opening in place because agencies were not putting your data in a timely manner. So I'd say about maybe 2014, 4 years ago, we set it up so that if you wanted to have your attendance open, you'd send it to your youth services coordinator, and they would review your form, and they would do the first round of approval. They'd send it to me, and then we would send it to our data person to get your attendance open. And as you know, you actually have to the 15th of always the following month. So this is June. You have until July 15th, where it falls on a Saturday. You have that following Monday to actually go in and put in all your data for June. Now, we've been tracking every request, how frequently you ask for a request. So these are the opening changes that I really want you to take note of. We will no longer open Cityspan attendance unless it is for the previous month. So in July, you can only ask for June. In August, you can only ask for July. You will no longer be able to have your attendance open from January to the current period. It throws off data. All of a sudden, we're counting numbers, and then you get your attendance open because you haven't opened it for the past 2 or 3 months, and boom, now we have all these numbers that we didn't have before. So we are cutting off attendance opening requests for any month except for the previous month. Take notice that as it relates to our performance rating, we've already put your attendance in. So if Karen and Caesar are doing your performance rating, and they have already noted that from January to March, you didn't have, your attendance in, you will be rated accordingly. So it doesn't matter if you go back and put attendance in. So we don't say you have to do it on a daily basis. We say we need your attendance. We suggest that and recommend that you put it in at least on a weekly basis to keep you from getting behind. And if you're a multi-funded program, you maybe need to look at it a little differently. If you're a CHA funded program as well as out of school time, or your project innovation program as well as out of school time, if you're multi-funded, however that looks, it's recommended. And even if you're doing attendance in the prevention intervention portfolio, you need to maybe put your attendance in sooner than the recommended once a week for only one program that's funded, that's only one program that's funded by us. So please remember this change starting today. We are only accepting an attendance request for May because you have until July 15th to put in June. So on your attendance forms, you have dates and times of your group activities. right? And I'm sitting here next to Karen, and she hasn't even nudged me, but I know she's thinking that I need to say that unless your attendance is on our form, your other sign-in sheets do not count. So, well, it doesn't, let me backtrack. It doesn't count for us. So, of course, you can keep, attendance for your other funded programs. It's not a problem. but for us, when we come out and monitor, or when the program auditors come out and monitor, they need to see our Cityspan DFSS attendance form, right? So make sure you have, for multi-funded programs, make sure you have the date and time for those activities. Example, your CHA, your project innovation, we need for you to put the date and time for those particular activities. If you have an OST program as well, so you may be running a CHA program from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Mondays and Wednesdays, and you may also have an OST program that you run from, 5:30 to 7:30 on those same days. We need to keep those sign-in sheets separately because you'll have some youth who are in OST and CHA, but some who are strictly CHA and they're funded for CHA, and we need to keep those separately. It's the same thing in the system. If you are being funded for CHA, project innovation, or out of school time, each one of those program models have their own separate portal. And so we want all the information captured in those specific portals for those program models. Karen, you want to add anything?
I'm just agreeing. Make sure you're entering attendance according to the grant type. When I say grant type, you'll see at the top of the Cityspan portal, CHA, project innovation, or out of school time. We can no longer go back and try to decipher whose attendance is from CHA because you made a mistake and combined it with OST, out of school time. We do not have the capacity to do that. Cityspan cannot interpret that as an electronic device, and so that is why we have now created the separate entrances. Sometimes you'll even have a different login and access information for that as well. And that's how you know you are separating the grant types, because you cannot put all the different activities from CHA and OST, even though you're the same agency, in the same portal and in the same activity listing.
And so to Chris's concern, we really need to have it date and time stamped. In the system moving forward, he'll be able to capture that. So it's important that when you put that data in, once again, it's clean data so that he can separate who is doing what, when, and where, and how.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so Cityspan now, the outcomes, and I had up there now because I appreciate your patience, all of the agencies and the people who work in the Cityspan system, because we were having a new quarterly outcome component built out, and it is finally available. If you have not begun to complete those outcomes, please do so now. So that starts with the first bullet. Quarterly outcomes can be completed. If you have any specific questions, please email them to me offline so we can either make that one of the new hashtag items Christian was talking about, or I can address it in a moment. Quarters 1 and 2 data should be entered for all year round and school year only programs at this point. As Erlene mentioned earlier, that cutoff is done and over. Quarter 1 and 2 data should be entered. We are now ramping up for quarter 3. And to that end, you can now upload, if you haven't already done so, your program pictures, videos, etc., that document the programs that have been accomplished and completed in those first 2 quarters. I've been getting lots of emails from people who say they have wonderful pictures to share. This is your opportunity to do so. And again, this is a way for us to go back and look at some of the things that unfortunately we missed because we have so many programs and we've been working in so many different areas this year, as always. So we still love you. We still want to see all the pictures. This is the perfect opportunity at this point when you're heading into setting up for summer to put that in, close out your 1 and 2 data, and keep moving. So for summer activities, this is a great time to start. We're midway through June. Most of the activities for summer will begin next week. I'm thinking, I know One Summer Chicago and ASM programming starts around the 25th, and you may want to follow in suit. For the summer activities, of course, those are for summer-only programs, and then for the second half of the year-round programming. So those activities, if you have not already started to plan and enter in Cityspan, please do, because we are going to be preparing now to go into quarter 3 reporting cycle.
So as it relates to the outcomes, a lot of the outcomes actually have requests for surveys. So we left that up to you. Whatever survey you wanted to create to capture some of the outcomes we're requesting, it's strictly up to you. And then you can filter that data and actually put it in as it relates to our program specifically.
Okay, so this is just a sweeping guide and how to begin. You want to definitely go back to quarter 1 if you have not already done so, and you want to enter participants by age group. You will see a chart where you can enter that information similar to your work plan. And then you're going to enter current data for those for that specific time frame. So quarter 1, you want to make sure that your data only reflects the information from those first 3 months of quarter 1, which is January, February, March. And then you would proceed to quarter 2, April, May, June, and again ramping up now for July, August, September. You don't need to worry about the 3rd quarter yet. Let's just get in all the accurate information for quarter 1. Make sure the data is being entered for the correct grant type, as we mentioned before. It's either going into CHA, out of school time, or project innovation. Data may be entered as actual numbers or as percentages depending on the question. And again, once you open up the outcomes, you'll see some of the questions are a little bit more specific. Down at the end, Arlene spoke about the surveys. In some of the questions, it asks specific questions about the exact number of surveys, and then the percentage may be the percentage of youth who have completed those surveys or who have been included in this program for survey, survey review. Outcomes must reflect the current programs, and again, that speaks to the quarter, either the 1st quarter or the 2nd quarter at this point. And then we are now able to run outcome reports to track all the data that you entered. And I added this so that you will know that we can see if you have actually added the quarter 1, quarter 2, and moving forward 3 and 4 outcomes. We'll be able to do that as well as pull reports that let us know what your results look like.
Exactly. We are so excited that Cityspan is going to provide the evaluation support for us, because it wouldn't help us to collect this data and not know how we need to move forward with it. And the most important purpose of collecting these outcomes is actually to see how we're doing and how we can better support you. And if these are actually realistic outcomes that reach your program, right? And if it's realistic for us. So we really appreciate you taking the time to work with us. It's been a long time coming. Some of you who've been working with us, we had outcomes out before, but we were never able to capture them in this way, as well as have an evaluation process at the end. So happy reporting. Thank you.
Okay, so the last bit of this is summer program staff must have up-to-date contractual certification entered in Cityspan prior to the beginning of the program. That is crucial. No more of this going back and catching up and entering the information about fingerprinting and background checks. That's out. I put this on here specifically for summer programs because you're starting fresh. And again, like I mentioned, hopefully within the next week or so. So if I go into Cityspan now, I am hoping to run data, which I can also run a report to see who has all their certificates entered currently for their summer program staff.
So on that note, in terms of staff certifications, I actually have like this circle with staff certifications sitting on the table as we go through this webinar this morning, because when program audits report to us their findings, the largest thing that we always see is the staff certifications. For us, that is a finding. For us, that's serious. If you don't have background checks, mandated reporter, the sex offender report, can't, is that it? The four things? Yes. Those four things, that's a red flag for us. We do not want to be on the 5, 7, or Channel 32 news because, you know, we didn't run the correct background checks and, oh my goodness, something happens. Thank God that has not happened. But we always have this in place to ensure that on our end, we've asked you to do what needs to be done, and we're asking that you make sure you respond. Again, if you are, if you run a fingerprinted background check on a staff person, then you're good for us for the entire time that person is employed. That does not mean that as an agency, you can have another policy in place where you run it every 2 years. You know, that would be great. It is something that you can, voucher for in your budget, but we need to make sure that on an annual basis, mandated reporter, the sex offender training report, as well as the chance form for to satisfy the state, that is in the system and updated on an annual basis, and it's year to date whenever you do it. So you have a person to come in and they start in January, so it's good until January the following year. That's something that you really need to stay up on. That's a red flag for us. That's a finding. It's a finding in our audit division now because we've asked for them to make it a finding. It is really extremely important that your staff have the credentials they need, as well as CPR, which is good for the 2 years, CPR and first aid. So those staff certifications are very important, and they are a part of your program management as it relates to your performance rating. And if you don't have your staff certifications, then that becomes, a not meeting in our performance rating process.
And it's only for the benefit and the safety of the young people. It doesn't make any sense to have all these wonderful programs and you are not protecting your youth. This is not just a thing that we're doing because we have to. We're asking this for the city. This is for the protection of the young people as well as your agency.
Okay. So new to Cityspan. So we are excited because just like the outcomes, performance ratings will now be added to the Cityspan system. What does that mean? That you will see them when they go in the system. You'll be able to check and say, oh, how's my performance? And you'll be able to see, what your performance rating was based on, and you probably before you get the letter, because we will still be emailing the letter out to you as a delegate agency, but you'll also be able to go into the Cityspan, see the rating, and see why you received the performance rating. And remember, it's a 3-part. You either get meet, not meeting, or needs improvement. Before we go to our Q&A, and I encourage you to, any questions you have for Christian, for Karen or myself, to kind of like put them out now so we can handle them in the moment. Again, this is being recorded, so we'll be able to send you a link shortly afterwards so that you can pull it up and share it with other people that's in your staff. But let me say this, because this was not a part of the webinar. There's really no place for it. But I know that many of you, most of you, did not get your contract executed in a timely manner this year. It was out of our control, but now that you have received an executed contract, I need you to make sure that you have gone on to the city's website and looked at the official work plan and looked at the official budget and begin to voucher on that approved budget immediately. So you can catch up. Hopefully some of you had vouchers like just waiting to be submitted in iSupplier. For those of you who may need additional training, at the end of this webinar, I am going to send out a list of current training dates that will occur, I think, as early as tomorrow into sometime next month and perhaps August. So if you have staff that are in need of training, please have them to attend this iSupplier training, this voucher training, so they know how to submit their vouchers. Now, until we know otherwise, budget revisions are still given to us in paper copy down at DFSS 1615 West Chicago Avenue. There's still a section at the receptionist desk on floor 2 where you can sign in your budget revision, and it will make its way up to the fiscal department. Before any budget revision can be approved, you can email me as well as attach a letter to your budget revision informing me why you need to do a budget revision. Remember, you cannot do a budget revision until your budget has been approved. In a perfect world, it takes 2 weeks for your budget revision to be approved so you can begin to voucher, I'm sorry. So there we go. And if you have questions about that, you can chime in on that topic as well. So it looks like we only have a couple questions. The first one, what agency is that? Yeah, so this is Miss Bay. Miss Bay, can you type in what agency you're from? She's been trying to get attendance open since May with no response. Are you sending to the wrong person? From ChiCat. So let me say this. So you are our Project Innovation Program?
Yeah, we've talked, so we'll get you situated. I still don't know why it hasn't been going through, but you're fine because I've spoken with you in person about that. It could be because of all the excitement during the Project Innovation event, but you're okay. You're fine. I'll talk with you offline about that.
Is there a checklist summary of all requirements, updates needed in Cityspan? I know about the list of staff, but what are other items? So, interesting question, Ashley. I think Ashley is from Chicago Training Center, maybe? So, all of the needed information in Cityspan is in your work plan, right? That includes your enrollment, includes your attendance, includes your staff certification. All of what you need to put in Cityspan is actually, like I said, in your work plan because it's part of your contractual obligation. Now, if you need some sort of training, then we can help you with that. Yeah, right, actually, Chicago Training Center. So, outside of enrollment, attendance, staff certification, now you have your outcomes. You'll be able to review your performance rating when sets up and flying. Those are we don't ask for much. So that's basically it. But, you know, we can kind of look through it and see if we're missing something. And if we need to create a checklist, we could do that, but I don't think that's necessary. The other piece on that is in Cityspan, there's always been a section that we updated last year for you to upload calendars, videos, and, you know, and current information. In addition to that, under the staff certifications, there's a form in there that tells you about all of the staff certifications, where you can access that information. I forgot to mention there's an acknowledgement form that the state requires that you fill out acknowledging that you are a mandated reporter. That has to be done just once by every person that's employed by you, but all that information is in Cityspan. So you have that support. Can we have 24 hours to get in a pre-May attendance open? So Ashley, I'm not going to put you on blast right now. I know that you and Caesar and I had a conversation about getting your information in Cityspan around the performance rating time. Your performance rating has already been calculated and it is put in. I am not going to go back and open up May. Ms. Bay, as it relates to CHI-CAT, who's with Project Innovation, she's a whole separate issue. So we will support her on that. But no, I'm not opening up. Is this June? This is June. Yeah. So I'll open up May. May is the only month right now you can get just because actually we've done the first 2 quarters performance rating. Some of you may not have gotten it, and I say apologies on that. I have to say that this is our 2nd annual Project Innovation event that we do. It is major. We actually plan this event from the bottom
January to May.
And we actually start in September, you know, but, you know, it's pretty intense for us in January and May. We're only a staff of 3, not making excuses. But if some of your attendance requests have fallen through the cracks, then that's why. So that being said, on an individual basis, if you get your performance, when you get your performance rating, because some of you have not gotten it for July to December, that will be coming to you this week and the first part of next week if you are one of Karen's agencies. And if, you know, you have an attendance request that was not, you know, noted in those past 6 months of last year, we can deal with that. But anything this year, if it's not in, it's not in. We're only opening up May. Is it too late to hire a teacher for summer to go through the process of a background check, et cetera, for Monday start? You can, this is my suggestion. So what we ask for is that there is documentation that the background check and fingerprint process has begun prior to you hiring anyone. That is a contractual obligation. And so what's good for one is good for all. If you have documentation that shows before you hire this person, you did your due diligence, you're good. If you hire this person before you started the process, you are not. So my suggestion is today is Wednesday. By Friday, that person, you have documentation. So a program audit comes out or Karen comes out, you have documentation that shows that that person, the background check process was started. And then when you get it back, if it's not to your liking, then by all means, you know, you need to handle the situation correctly.
And do not have that person around your young people until you are comfortable and sure.
And so one of the things that the state used to require, and I know a lot of you are not state funded, but I think it's, you know, these are best practices. So one of the things that the state would require is that until you actually got your background check, that whoever it was you were going to have in the around the youth, you had a staff who had a cleared background check with them at all times. So, you know, it's a great recommendation, it's a great suggestion, and it's the best practice that I think everyone should follow, whether they're state funded or not. I only see one question in the quarterly outcome section. Okay, never mind. Okay, yeah, there are. So each program model has 3 outcomes. Project Innovation has 3, but they had the opportunity to select one that they wanted. Okay, Ashley, I see you. Question from Youth Guidance. Can we open that?
It's right here.
Okay. For some reason, in our attendance reports, we have students showing up that aren't actual YG participants. Now, that's interesting because that's a CHA issue, Chris.
I'm actually not sure if it's a CHA issue or if that's a Cityspan issue. Brandon, how?
You know what? Can we, Brandon? We're gonna no. We're gonna take your call. Can we have him unmute him so he can talk now? Perfect. Okay. So Brandon, we actually have your phone unmuted. So Chris, so we can have a conversation. Can everyone hear it? Great.
Go ahead, Brandon. Would you mind describing what you're seeing in Cityspan for us?
Yeah, so as it's been described to me,
Okay, you're breaking up. Are you on a cell phone?
I'm just using my computer.
Oh, speaking through the.
Oh, are you speaking through the computer?
Yes,
Can
can you hear me now?
Audio? Here we go. Okay.
All right, so yeah, we have like 3 reports that we download primarily from like our main Cityspan login. One is like an overall program report. One is for services, and one is for demographics. And for whatever reason, some of our schools, when we download the report, it's been reported to us that some of the kids that show up in the service report aren't actual YG participants, and we just haven't been able to find a way or what is exactly may attribute to this.
Okay. Okay. All right. So we can take this up to Cityspan. You know, that's one of the rolling tracking issues that we can actually look at.
Okay.
How long has this been happening?
I would say it maybe for like a year now. It's, we're trying to figure it out. Yeah, it's been a while, so
So let me just say this: if you don't communicate, we won't know. That's one.
Right.
And 2, we've asked agencies for quite some time to clean up their data. Last year we were on this please clean up your data kick because, we had people who had stuff in from 3 or 4 years ago. And, it's hard to pull clean data, good data, if we don't have the information. So we will run this up to Cityspan, but clearly it sounds like some of these people may be from previous years. Yeah, previous years.
Brandon, one thing that would be helpful, because I don't want to give away who the youth are. I don't want to don't share that personal information. But would you happen to know how many non-YG participants are showing up in your attendance report?
I might be able to find out. I can't say at the top of my head.
I think when we would pick up this conversation offline, having that number and potentially the person ID associated with each of these non-YG participants would be helpful to Arlene to take it up to Cityspan.
What ID would that be again?
What was that?
You said what ID would that be?
Person ID. I know that that's a field associated with each youth, but if it's not, let us know. If you can't see that in your attendance report, let Arlene and I know.
Okay, and I guess it seems some of the students seem to be from other after-school programs this year, so maybe it just might be like some type of mix-up or something.
I think that, yeah, it might be something programmatic. So the more information we have on those particular youth, the better we'll be able to debug this error. So thank you for letting us know.
Who I would share that with? Would I like contact you guys, or like who would the contact be for that?
So what we're going to do at the end of the Q&A, you'll have access to all of our emails, except for Christian. I didn't put his on there, but you'll have access to our emails. Shoot it to us. We'll handle it on our end.
Okay, then.
Thank you.
One more question. Just out of curiosity, I know that we tend on the demographics report that we have. Just do you know exactly how the information on that is populated? Because a lot of the information that we need, like just simple stuff from grades to student ID, tends to be inconsistent when we download the report for our kids. So I was always curious, like, is that something that's on our program staff, or is that something that should be already pre-populated in Cityspan?
So in terms of the, let's talk about the CHID. So in terms of the CHID, you give us that information. Then that information we send to CHA, and they verify whether or not that person actually has a CHA ID number to be a participant in your program. So that's like back-end data that, is handled once we give give CHA their reports. And so, it sounds like this is what I'd like for you to do. I'd like for you to send me some bullets on all the issues that you are dealing with as it relates to CHA. We fund you for CHA. And then we can take that information and we can dialogue, we can better support you. And I'm glad that you're actually on this, on this webinar today, because we would not have known what was going on had you not been. So definitely, my email will be at the end of this, and you can, jot it down and, get to us as soon as possible so that we can respond to your concerns.
Do you also have, okay, then I guess I won't get too much into the weeds, but I'll definitely contact you.
Okay, great. Yeah, because, we want to make sure that we, serve you correctly. And so all we need you to do is send us all your bullets, all your thoughts. It seems like you've got a lot of stuff you need to get out. So just get on the computer and give us everything you've got, and we will address it.
Definitely, because I thought we was partnering with you guys for SB and CSI as well, but that would be something I guess would be good to clarify.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you. All right, so here's our next question from Ms. O'Neill. Karen, you want to address it?
Hello, team. This is Delana O'Neill from Locomotions in the Cityspan system under the Document tab. When you click on it, there is no actual form there. Please advise for new summer workers. Okay, so the dilemma is, or actually it's not even a dilemma. You're looking in the wrong area to get all of the staff certification. You need to look under,
she's saying that under the document tab, there's no, the city system under the document tab, when you click it, there's no actual form. Is that what she's talking about, staff certification?
Yeah, I believe so. Okay, please clarify, Delana.
Oh, she said, I'm sorry, okay, so let me say something real quick, because you know what? This is the same thing that Mary is saying. I was looking for Mary Gomez. I was looking for the contractual forms on Cityspan that our staff usually sign and get uploaded and did not find it. Do they still need those filled out? So I'm gonna let Karen answer some of this, but allow me to address the first issue. We took that form down last year. That's why you don't see it. And when we took it down, we sent out several emails, because we're on this whole communication thing. We start from the top, and then we work with program directors and program coordinators, and we hope that all this information is transferred to your staff. So I, will send the same thing out to the executive director. Karen and Caesar sends it out to the program directors, program coordinators, and we always ask in the email to please provide this information to staff that need it. So whatever appropriate staff, whatever the content is, that if person gets the information. We took out the contractual certification forms. Why? Because Karen and Caesar had to go through every single delegate agency to see what certifications they had or did not have.
Correct.
That was grueling, that was painstaking. And as a staff, we don't have the bandwidth to do that. So we sent all of our agencies notification that you will find that information
in the staff participation tab. So like when you are adding youth and participants, you're going to go to staff and you're going to click on that tab, and I'll be more specific a little bit later. It's not exactly in front of me, but it's the same menu that you use when you're adding staff or you're adding your young people. Like I said, I'll be more specific. I'll shoot out an email. But you go into that tab, you select your staff, and then you'll have all of the information that was previously on the certification form already in Cityspan, and all you have to do is enter the information.
So that being said, it's been there for over a year. And because we started last program year. So it's been there since January 1, and I probably sent out the notification sometime in December when we got it ready for January 1. And so it's easy. You can click on it now. You don't have to fill anything out. You don't have to upload anything. You just go to that section where program staff can complete that information. And then on our end, all we need to do is run a report. And again, if it's not there, it doesn't exist. Actually, is family income no longer required in reporting on youth? So, you know, we had the, of course we have to use the HHS, the Health and Human Services data, like most government entities that comes from the federal government that actually describes the poverty level of families. And so this year, what we said to agencies was, you can go on to the data system yourself and you can pull down those guidelines to make a determination who in your program, meets the requirement. Yes, we are looking for low-income, underserved youth to be a part of your program. So family income is required. It's actually a part of your, isn't it on the intake form?
It's on the back of the intake form.
We took it out, the back of the intake form. And we made a separate.
Two-sided.
Yeah, it's not two-sided. We made it a separate form. Now, you know, if you, and you all can chime in with a yes or no, if you need us to go on the federal government site and pull it down and send it to you, we can, but the expectation is that you all should be able to do that yourself. Are we creating our own surveys for Cityspan feedback? If students are younger than 10 years old, can parents take the survey and provide responses on behalf of their children's outcome? Okay, great question. So, yes, we said in your roundtable, as well as when we sent out the outcomes, we explained to agencies that you could create your own surveys for your Cityspan feedback. That's the expectation. So quite honestly, you should already have surveys that you have run for your first and second quarter. And of course, you know, your survey, if you're serving youth who can't respond to a survey, then your survey should be geared towards the parent to get their response on behalf of their children. Okay. So, I think we've answered all of the questions. If you have any additional questions or some of the information you needed wasn't covered, you know, please feel free to reach out to us. You know, we are truly here to serve you. And so whatever your needs are, you know, always reach out and let us know. Next slide. So we want to thank you for joining us today. Here's the information you need. There's Karen's phone number, 312-746-7728. You see her Email address, karen.nolan@cityofchicago.org. Caesar Garza, 312-74, should be 746. Sorry, 746-8783. And his email, caesar.garza@cityofchicago.org. And then, of course, you can always reach out to me via email, erlene.whitfield.alexander@cityofchicago.org. It's always best to, reach me via email. I respond much quicker that way. If you call me and you receive my voicemail, shoot me an email. If you need to talk to me, shoot me an email with some available times and dates, and then we can set up a conference call. But again, we are here to make you help you to have a successful quality program. So let us know how we can be a part of that at any given time. So thank you very much for joining us on this Wednesday. Have a great rest of the week and a wonderful weekend. Thank you.